On today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast, I dive into the telltales of the final preseason game. What did we learn from the Houston Texans? And my hot take, Woody Marks should be this team's starting running back while Joe Mixon is out.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around. New to the show, thank you for stopping by and lending your ear. Every day from the Himalaya, thank you for coming back and listening to me, your Texans credentialed media member and football analyst, John Hickman. Excited for today's show, looking at the last preseason game and some preseason moments throughout the entire preseason time for the Houston Texans to get our final lessons. In a couple of days, Houston will have to cut down some players, right? Going from 90 to 53. The stage can be set for 2025, but are we confident in the players in the building, the coaching staff on the roster, and the direction of where this team is heading, specifically on the offensive side of the ball? Looking at the defensive players from Saturday's preseason games, whose stock is up, whose stock is down, who could possibly take someone's spot? Is there a vet that could be pushed out the building because the young buck is just balling? But I open up today's show looking at Woody Marks and my belief that he should be the lead back until Joe Mixon returns. However, before I do that, a running back won't have success, a quarterback won't have success if the offensive line ain't doing a damn job. And I want to give a lot of credit to Cole Popovich, who has absolutely revamped the offensive line. Just overall impressed with the job the guys that are fighting for a spot did Saturday, but also the entire preseason. Only 3 sacks allowed. They've improved rushing lanes. And by the way, for all you scheme heads out there, for all of you that want to keep up with what type of scheme will the Houston Texans run? 44 gap runs compared to 27 zone runs. To this point in preseason. The preseason is over with, so we'll see how that number maintains throughout the regular season. But kudos there. But the preseason, especially the final preseason game, has let me know that my feelings are valid. That is, Woody Marks should be this team's lead back in the run-by-committee conversation. No Joe Mixon. It'll be in Houston's best interest to lean on each and every back until Mixon returns, depending on the situation, depending on the defense, depending on the goal at that time, right? I think they'll look at utilizing potentially 5 backs. And, of course, we know that Darray, the job that he does on special teams, I think Houston will keep 5 backs to kick off the season. But Houston opted to get DP out there. Coach Ryan said that the idea to play Damian was to get him some live reps to help with confidence. Damian finished today 7 carries, 17 yards with a long run of 6 yards. Keep that in mind. Also, let's look at Nick Chubb. Put together a solid performance against Carolina, 5 carries, 25 yards. But both of the backs that I just named are coming off an injury in some fashion. Chubb is approaching 30, a ton of miles on him. DP hasn't had the reps to really be in the competition or the conversation to this point because he's been out. He hasn't been there. And as much as I like him, hasn't done much since his rookie season, and that's been well documented. His good games and good moments are few and far in between from one another. But when I look at Woody Marks, who came into camp widely regarded as a third down back, he's shown the ability to do the following. Hey, first and foremost, your best ability is availability, and he's been here. He's been in the NRG. He's been in the bubble. He's been in the huddles. He's been on the sideline. Like, whenever there was a running back around, Woody Marks was right there with him. And he's had good moments in practice, right? And I think that matters. Houston will go and make the decisions. When they do make those decisions, they'll look at practice production as well. Woody Marks has been a productive player in practice. In my opinion, when I've been out there and seen him, he's been the most productive running back. Now, I wasn't out there in the Greenbrier, which is where for Nick Chubb, he got it going a little bit. But Woody Marks has also shown the ability to be a good pass blocker out of the backfield with a pass blocking grade of 65.7. He's also shown the ability to pick up yards after the contact with 3.69 yards per attempt. For context, 59 of Mark's 63 yards were after the contact, plus showing the ability to run inside of the tackles. Some Texan fans might hear this and think counting on a fourth round rookie at this juncture is risky. Okay, well, but when someone shows you who they are, we kind of have to believe them. And I'm looking at that for Marks and a little bit for Dameon Pierce as well. From when I reviewed the running backs at practices and games, I've seen Marks do it all, regardless of who's in front of him blocking and who's playing quarterback. I see Houston utilizing the running back by committee. Yes, I think it's a smart choice with Mixon being out, seeing as though none of those backs on the roster were RB1s last season in the NFL, whether that's due to being in college or injuries. Yes, I think Houston should continue that once Joe Mixon comes back to preserve his player life. Nick Chubb can even start games off if put the vet out there matters for a crowd of you guys. If Nick Chubb, they want to use Nick Chubb to start the game off, that's okay. But the snaps and the carries should favor Woody Marks. He's young, explosive back that can impact the game at all three levels of the game from a running back perspective. He is the answer for now, in my opinion. And I think that putting him out there will allow for Houston to have a different dynamic. Again, I don't want to downplay the explosiveness that he brings. On the touchdown run, ran through inside the tackles through contact. His first rushing opportunity last week against Carolina, cut back for a gain of 12, avoided the contact in the backfield to get up the field, and also did that while taking on some of the contact as well. Third down backs normally get labeled as scat backs. Now, he hasn't ran away or shot away from the physicality of the game. And not only that, he's also led the physicality as a runner. He fits exactly what the Houston Texans are looking for from their running backs. And because he's been available, because he can do it all on three different levels, it would be malpractice for the Houston Texans to not give him a good amount of the carries to kick off the year while Joe Mixon is out. It'll be malpractice, in my opinion. We got a good sample size of Nick Chubb. Majority of training camp hasn't been the best or favorable to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb can be viewed as a volume back, but Woody Marks can be viewed as a back that can do more with less. So imagine if he gets more carries, more opportunities. He is the best back for the Houston Texans right now. 100%. Now the defensive side of the ball. What did preseason tell us about the defense? Will youth force Houston to keep a player over a seasoned vet? More after the break here on the Locked On Texans podcast. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. Just for 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Listen, as much as I talk about Woody Marks being this team's starting running back or the running back that should receive majority of the snap shares, nobody will move without this offensive line playing as good as they've been playing. They have to keep that going. And if they can continue to keep that going, then not only are you looking at a running back by committee that is playing fairly well, then you're also looking at the idea of what the ceiling could actually look like for C.J. Stroud. Could he end up being in the MVP conversations? Could he end up winning the MVP in 2025, 2026? If so, if you feel that way, go ahead. FanDuel Futures Day is exactly where you need to be. Visit FanDuel, the app today, and start planning your future bets now, because Future Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. And also, Texas fans, this is an awesome time to let you guys know that I understand that you've heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougier Ready. Rougier Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain, boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougier 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours. So you got a day and a half to stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougier might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to Rougier.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's Rougier, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but not FDA approved, and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing review. Please visit Rougier Ready for full safety information right now. Texas fans, I want you guys to know that cut down day is August 26th. Teams have to trim their 90-man rosters to 53 by Tuesday, creating the initial 53-man rosters around the league ahead of the start of the season in less than 2 weeks. Houston is very deep across the board and will have some tough decisions to make. None like D-line. Hear from D'Amico Ryans on the performance of the defensive line this past Saturday, and that'll kick us off with how difficult his job will be.
D-line's done a great job. Foley, Tommy, two, dominant guys inside for us, really. Thankful to those guys, especially Foley, for being able to get him some reps. He's been, away for a while. He's worked himself back, was able to go out, play meaningful ball, get some good reps. Tommy's just been Mr. Consistent throughout training camp and his show. Whether it's practice, whether it's the game, it really doesn't matter. Tommy's going to show up every single time, making plays, doing how it's supposed to be done. And that's when the big plays come, because he does his job right every single time.
Shout out to Coach Ryans there. Shouting out Tommy T, calling him Mr. Consistent. And also Houston got an opportunity to get Foley back out on the field. And, we knew that this defensive line depth was crazy. It was deep, and that was going to make cutting some of these players hard. So at what point do we ask ourselves, hey, listen, should the 26-year-old Tommy T make it over one of the vets? At the time of this recording, Houston has 8 defensive tackles. Of those 8, call me crazy, but of those 8, I see 2 that I think Tommy T has a strong chance of landing on this roster over. That is Sheldon Rankins and Foley Fatukasi. Sheldon was brought back to the Houston Texans this offseason, signed a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Foley Fatukasi also on a 1-year deal for the Houston Texans on a very inexpensive contract. Looking at him, getting his opportunity to get back out on the field for Houston. But when I look at Tommy T, I look at his ability, like D'Amico Ryan said, called him Mr. Consistent, consistently being good, but also consistently getting better, stacking those good days. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me if Houston tried to find a way to keep him around. If they did move on from him, maybe looking to add him to the practice squad. But I think that he has real value to make the original 53-man roster once Houston has to go through their cutdowns. I think that, of course, he's younger, right? More juice there. He'll also be a young player surrounded around a lot of vets. Houston has not had a young D tackle in his defense aside from Khalil Davis, who previously before D'Amico Ryan spoke highly of when he was here on his team. So, but you look at what Tommy can actually do. I mean, he can get after the quarterback, but he's not a sack getter. If he's around there, he can make a play. I thought he did a very good job of getting his sack this past Saturday, but he's also done a good job of being able to play his role, be where he's supposed to be, play with great gap integrity, whether him getting into the backfield or opening up opportunity for a linebacker to get back there. His value is just being a guy that can kind of stall things inside. And I think that when you have a D tackle like that, you look at the value of being able to be a better run defending team. And also, he's always going to be around where the ball is going to be around. So if somebody can force a quarterback back inside or a running back inside, he can also make a play as well. That said, what the preseason really told us is that D'Angelo Ross and that experience should probably be over. Ross has allowed a completion percentage of 71, 96 total yards, most on the team, the highest passer rating allowed on the team, multiple big plays allowed as he is allowing 19.2 yards per completion. And I thought Ross did a good job of rebounding from his first game against Minnesota. I thought he rebounded well, right? This is also a great time to look at cornerback Arthur Millette, who played in the slot. However, this past Saturday, 3 targets, 1 catch, 7 yards, 42.4 passer rating allowed when targeted. Also looking at Miles Bryant, who played in a lot more safety snaps this preseason as well. 36 snaps at safety, which is more than his snaps at nickel. So we're looking at Houston finding ways and getting creative with maybe not having to bring in a player until CD8 comes back. How they're going to put this roster together, I think, will be telling on if they're anticipating a return from a player that's already in the building, or will they look outside of the building to bring in a player to booster their roster before the season kicks off. But I think we can look at that D'Angelo Ross experiment and say, hey, man, you know what? Thank you for your time, but Houston has to do what's best for them, and that's getting the best player for a position that we've seen in the past when the next man up for the cornerback hasn't always been in favor of Houston. So for CB4 right now, I like Tremont Smith. Again, surprisingly Millette, but he's also a slot cornerback. Houston has flirted with moving guys around, but I wouldn't rule out Houston searching outside once cuts happen around the league to upgrade at corner or safety. That said, I have been impressed with Smith. 5 targets, 3 catches, 25 yards allowed in the preseason. All snaps coming at outside cornerback. Started shaky, gave up a touchdown in the first game, but he has been solid since. Only 1 yak yard allowed of the 25, so demonstrating a solid tackling efforts. I think that when you look at what we know now, Houston has trust in their front 7 to create pressure, to create mismatches, to create an opportunity to knock some of these quarterbacks off of their spot, break them out. And then you have 2 edge defenders that can go and get them. The back end of the defense just has to be at the right spot at the right time. And because of that, okay, does that put pressure on Houston to go out and find a more experienced cornerback, or do they just roll with the vet? And if I'm Houston, I'm okay with starting the season off with Tremont Smith right now. He's not going to be the starter. He's going to be big on special teams. He'll be over there with Frank Ross a lot, but I think he's shown enough to say that you can keep him over D'Angelo Ross that in 2 of the 3 games, it was very rough out there for him, and he didn't do much to kind of set himself apart from the other guys. Now, closing out the show, the overall lesson that I learned by watching this team this preseason, also during training camp, more Locked On Texans to close out the show. Texan fans, I am excited because the Locked On Texan Fantasy League, both of them, the draft has been completed. Teams are locked in and ready to go. And it's all being hosted on Yahoo Fantasy. It's going to be fun. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner. Regular season, you can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. If you haven't joined a league yet, now is the time. It's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy this year. A group of us will be playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league. When the season kicks off on September 4th, understand that now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many ways to compete. Want more ways to play? Try the brand new Yahoo Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scored team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. Want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. Prefer the classics? Get your crew together and go head-to-head in a private league. No crew, no problem. Join a public league. the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. Welcome back, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. I want you to hear from D'Amico Ryans on the roster bubble players and also Nick Caley's offense.
The main thing in this last preseason game, you just want to see guys, I ask them, go out, play with elite energy, play with elite execution. That's all you do. You don't worry about things you can't control when it comes to the roster and making the team, not just go out and play ball, play as hard as you can possibly play. That decisions to make the roster, it doesn't happen just on this one game. Like we know our guys, we've been watching these guys since off-season training. So we know the type of guys that we have, and I'll say it again for me, it's all 90 guys I want to keep because I know I can go to war with these guys. I know what they're about. They're battle-tested. They're tough, physical. They have the right mindset of what it takes. Unfortunately, we can't keep everyone, but I'm so proud of every person in that room for the work that they put in throughout training camp for us to get better as a team. Everybody took strides. Everybody took steps to get better as players, coaches, staff. We all grew throughout this training camp, and that's just going to help us to start the season off in the right manner.
That was Coach on the roster bubble players. Also hear from Coach about Nick Caley's offense.
But what I love about the system is all of our guys know what to do. We're not thinking, right? Which allows our guys to just go play fast and play physical. It's not a lot of thinking involved, and that's what I really like about it. No matter first group, second group, third group, just go out and you get a chance to really showcase your skill set, showcase your talents. That's what the system allows our guys to do.
If you guys remember, it was a big part of the reason why Bobby Slowick and C.J. Stroud wasn't necessarily on the same page in 2024. C.J. was looking for a much more tempo. He not even necessarily just playing excuse me, not necessarily playing no offense, no huddle, but also just get into the line with the play quicker, moving at a different pace, bringing the pressure towards the defense, allowing the offense to be able to dictate the pressure that's being created in the game. So now you look at Nick Caley, right? And also CJ wanted more control over the offense, and he's gotten that. Now you look at Nick Caley arriving to the Houston Texans, and the one thing that I want to say is, number one, like I feel like the Texans took preseason a lot more seriously this year compared to last year. But I learned that the path to success is clearer for the offense with Nick Caley in Houston as the first-time play caller and Cole Popovich, somewhat old-school style of coaching, now the offensive line coach for the Houston Texans. Everything that has been presented to us gives off a clear sense of direction. The word that I used a couple of weeks ago was concise. Granted, there are still question marks and I think justifiable reasons to have some reservations, but I feel more confident now compared to when this thing started because the vision was made clear. Comparison to 2024, if I can compare the 2 years, the vision was talked about a lot throughout training camp and the season in 2024, but it was never made clear, at least not on the field. So we have to, if I'm looking at comparing and contrasting, and also let's keep it real and say the vision will include a rookie or two or three or four having major roles in being a part of why Houston can have a successful season. And there's no need to be scared of that. And the vision has shown us that the coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball will utilize them in a manner that fits their strengths. One of my biggest critiques of 2024 and the Bobby Slowick era was the constant forcing a player to do the same thing consistently, leaving Houston stuck in between a revolving door of failure. Guys were asked to do things that they just were not good at this stage in their career or have never shown to be, like that's what the kids say. It's never been in your bag. Never been in their bag. I think the most famous one is asking Dalton Schultz to consistently line up and block premier edge defenders. That's just a mistake. But also I think the usage of Xavier Hutchinson. who has blossomed so much under this leadership of offense, with Nick Caley and what they've been able to create. Now he's in talks to be the team's third wide receiver after Christian Kirk and Nico Collins. So you just look at how the arrival of Nick Caley and him saying that this won't be a blank offense or it won't be a this offense. It's going to be a Houston Texans offense. And DeMeco Ryans, this is not copy and paste. So I'm not going to bring over something that worked for one player that may have a similar build from another program, organization over here. If it's not going to work with you, I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to find what works for you. Do I think it's all roses and wines? No. But the approach Houston took this entire preseason has made it clear and made some of those spots that were rough around the edges a little bit smoother, in my opinion. Plus, the lesson that we all learn is that the friends, the buddies, the pals, they don't matter as much as winning ball games. The year kicked off with Houston moving on from Bobby Slowick, trading Laramie Tunsil, right? Last week, trading John Mechie. The best guy is the best guy. That being said, Ursary should be on the field to open up the season. At one of those tackle spots, Mark should get significant snaps until Joe Mixon returns. I think Houston has a good problem on their hands. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Locked On Podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time, ladies and gents, peace.